Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long before 1975, a using girls on the rise, reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends, but Lawn Boys Bros 1975.
Hey YouTube, Lawn Boys Post 1975. Yeah, you know the rules. I do apologise that you can hear the fan, but it's summer and I hate summer, so suey. Anyway, question down there. Were you ever featured, or in a gaming magazine back in the day, a gaming magazine of sort of your era, whether it was like High Score Challenge like in Zap 64 or Crash Magazine, or whether or not it was a competition? I guess I could elaborate on that and say, or expand I should say, which is, did you ever win anything, and if so, what did you do to win it? I think magazines, not just because obviously the internet within itself has lessened the importance of magazines, can I say that? I mean, I personally think it has, and I personally prefer, it's like solid state media, isn't it? I personally prefer having a magazine. The internet's easy and very accessible, and that's a brilliant thing, but there's nothing like thumbing through a magazine or having a beaten up magazine when you're on a bus or a train. I wouldn't know because I don't take public transport, never mind, but you know what I mean. But I think magazines were far more accessible to us as kids, and not just because you're a child and it's that more important to you, but because they just were then back in the day. I'm talking like the old SEGA and Nintendo magazines, not necessarily CVG and Mean Machines, but some of the other ones. But yeah, I just thought I'd ask this because I've been trying desperately, and if anyone can help me out with this, it would mean a lot to me. I've been trying desperately to find two competitions, or a magazine, let's start at the beginning, a magazine that I entered two competitions in back in the day that I won. And it was, I want to say, an official SEGA magazine, or maybe S magazine, and it had an S in the top left hand corner in front of like a checkered background before it changed to something else. And it was literally, I love this magazine back in the day, it was literally the first dedicated Master System magazine in this country. And as this was the point when I just got my Master System, it felt special, it felt like something cool, like I had my own personal magazine that was entirely for my system. It felt like the stuff I had for the Spectrum, but for the Master System, which was my system. I didn't have to share it with my brothers, so it was, that sounds really silly, but you bear in mind we're kids and how you are when you're a kid, but yeah, it felt like my own personal magazine. And yeah, I loved it, I absolutely loved it. This might help. They had a mascot who was a snake, I think, which bears in one of the competitions, but I remember I loved and adored this magazine. It was a bit pricey, and their scans of screenshots weren't particularly good, but it was a Master System magazine. It wasn't like 3 pages here or there in Mean Machines, and it wasn't the Mean Machines original section in CVG. It was a magazine. It wasn't the biggest magazine and didn't have the best production. It was pricey, but it was a Master System magazine, and this was just on the cusp before the Master System went absolutely batshit crazy in the United Kingdom, because it was hugely popular over here. It was kind of like the opposite in North America. The NES didn't really get a look in over here. It was all Master System. Q Nelson, thought bubble from The Simpsons, then going, ha ha, sorry, that's just me. But they did 2 competitions, and because it felt like my magazine, I tried really hard for these competitions. And yeah, going back to what I said before, is I've looked everywhere on the internet for this. I cannot find any scans of any of these magazines, but not completely 100% knowing the name of the magazine doesn't help in the first place. Anyway, I did talk to Guru Larry about it on one of the live streams, and he says he thinks he might have it. And I don't know if you remember this or if you're even watching this, Larry, but dig them out and see if you can find the 2 competitions I entered, which I'll explain in a minute. But I remember the first one. I mean, I used to love drawing when I was a kid back in the day. I still draw from time to time. I'm no artist or anything, but I got that pad on the Wii. Never mind. But yeah, I loved drawing when I was a kid back in the day. So when someone asked for a competition, when they said they wanted you to submit your designs for what would be your ideal, add-on peripheral for the Sega Master System. Now, bear in mind that there's no way the system could have pulled this off. I know that, but I was a child, and so I sat and I designed a virtual reality helmet. Now the funny thing about this is this was actually before it all started coming out in the arcades with big VR headsets, so possibly I should have patented it and I would have been rich now. But yeah, I designed a virtual reality headset, and I drew all the like the wires and the adapters and stuff, and it would plug into the card slot, and then I drew an absolutely massive helmet, more akin to, I don't know, those 3D glasses from, you know, the cinema bolted onto the front of a cycle helmet. But yeah, and it came in third, and I won one of those jumpers or pullovers, which I still have. I should have dug it out for this video. I don't have the magazines. I went everywhere through the loft, which is why I was looking for them online, and it was one of those white ones, and it had SEGA in the top left hand, you know, on the breast, and on the back it had that TV with like the tuning card on the front of all the colours, but had a face in it, because this was the UK one. Maybe people remember this, or maybe I'm insane. And it said, "Do me a favour, plug me into a SEGA." And yeah, I mean, I could flog it on eBay and someone will go batshit crazy for it. I mean, that's proper retro right there. But yeah, I came third. I was super stoked, and I remember cutting the picture out. My mum framed it, and it was on my wall for years before it got sun bleached and faded. And then what I did with this eventual prize, mine makes me an asshole. Then a few months later, they did a competition which was design your ideal light phaser, and I went absolutely to town. I took a big sheet of A3, got out my ruler and stuff, penciled it, then inked it all, and just did every attachment ever, like a rifle butt, an infrared dot. What use that would be on a TV screen, I don't know. A scope, a night vision scope, an extended barrel, a silencer. Again, what use that would be on a TV, I do not know. But I went to town. The battery was rechargeable, and you shoved it in as a magazine, you know, so you wouldn't have to plug it into the system. I guess we could do wireless then, but I went absolutely through the roof. There were so many attachments for this thing. I crammed this piece of A3 paper, and all my ideas, most of them were nicked from Guns in 2000 AD, the British comic back in the day, but I went absolutely to town on it. And imagine my surprise when, because they never let you know that you won. You literally opened up the magazine a month later and were just like, holy shit, there's my picture of my gun, and they've even polished it up and made it look proper nice and tidy, and it's in first place on a double spread with people in second and third. And I shit my pants. And it even said, because this comes back to the mascot that I said, that little weird snake thing that it goes, and the best thing about this gun was it had all these attachments but not a snake zapper in sight, thinking it was funny. But hey, I actually thought it was funny when I was a kid, but I shat my pants. You know, is it a great claim to fame? Not particularly, nor was the, you know, the helmet I designed, but it was just one of those things that we were so in love with this you know, hobby you had back in the day with you know, with gaming, to have this magazine that it was for your system, that you didn't have to share with anyone else, and then to win the competitions, and it was just absolutely fantastic. I won a SEGA light phaser for that one, and was it the Safari Hunt game was the one that came in box, and yeah, this makes me a dick. Even back then, little entrepreneur Dave, I flogged it in a week and a half. I played it, but I flogged it in a week and a half. I was never a massive fan of the light phaser back in the day. Borrowed one off my mates, caned the crap out of it for 2 weeks, and then grew bored of it. So even though it's almost like I entered this competition just to see if I could win it or share my love, rather than the prize I would get. But yeah, so I mean, as I said, it seems to me that things were far more accessible back then when you were a kid than they are now. So were you ever featured in a magazine, any magazine, not just necessarily gaming? Did you ever win a competition? And if you did, what did you do? And what did you win? This was a really nostalgic waffle, even by my standards. But yeah, I'd like to know. It'd be cool to share our experiences. Anyway, oh, and if you know what the magazine is, completely and utterly name it. And if you have the magazine, I will pay you to scan these two competitions. I don't know what issues they're in, but I will pay you. Anyway, thank you. What happened to my voice there? Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.